What is up YouTube, Jamie the Kid00 here, coming to you guys with a brand new video. So today, we're going to be going through another deck profile, virtual, because we're all still in lockdown. And you know, every format, your guy's going to talk about Shaddolls. So if you remember a little bit of the deck profiles I did for Rufio, and the few deck profiles I did on my channel, you'll know I was kind of a big fan of Invoke Shaddoll. Like, kind of a big fan of Invoke Shaddoll, and then Invoke Dogmatika. Well, this new thing came along called Magistus, and I thought, hey, I've not played for like 2 months, let's have another look at this deck concept, and oh wait, you mean to tell me this behaves like Invoked, but doesn't take up nearly as much space in my extra deck, and basically fulfills the same purpose? And gives me a light monster that I can make with normal summoned mathematicians. I'm in. Now, we're going to be going through a list of what I've been kind of toying around with on my first few games of the deck, and I already have some thoughts on what I want to change, but for talking points, I kind of left the deck as is before I then make my switches and kind of go forward with it to test it a whole lot more. There will be dual videos on this, and if there are deck revisions for the dual videos, hey, the deck profile will be at the end, just like we did for the Plunder Patrol video, and hopefully this one won't take a week and a half to put out like the Plunder Patrol one did, because I never found the time to edit it. And we do, of course, have to give a big shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that, down here, is cardmarket.com. Today's video is sponsored by cardmarket.com. Cardmarket.com is your one-stop shop for the European TCG market. Shop from all major card games in all major languages. I use Cardmarket almost every day for my deck profile stocks and my ever-growing foreign collection. Let's get into the list. So, of course, we are going to be looking through this list the way that Edo Pro loves to organize it. So we are going to hit the sort button and kind of go through it the way that Edo Pro puts it all out, which really sets my kind of OCD on edge, because I don't like having the hand traps all weirdly separated out like this. It's so gross. All right, like that's workable, I guess. Why does the Ecclesia end up over here? Does this sort button set anyone else's teeth on edge? I don't know. Maybe it's because I miss doing physical deck profiles and it really... Anyway, we're starting off with 9 hand traps because this deck... I kind of wanted to build something that could go into Rogue because I'm playing into the Edo Pro kind of soup of whatever you kind of come across, and I also wanted to be equally able to go first and second, and I feel like hand traps are just a necessity at the moment with the amount of combo decks there are in the metagame. One thing I am regretting looking at this overall, and it's just an insta-scoop at the moment, is I am not playing a main deck out to Mystic Mine. If I went to an actual major event with this, or if I just went to a physical event with this, I know the amount of people that play Mystic Mine in the UK, I would definitely include something like Dynamiscus in here to out that mine situation. But we are playing a little bit more... freely on Edo Pro, so we just pick up into Mystic Mine. So opening out, 3 copies of Nibiru, 3 copies of Ash, and 3 copies of Impermanence. I'm pretty happy with this whole lineup. Nibiru is, of course, Nibiru. It's a massive deterrent to combo setup decks, which is really useful for me because while this deck is very capable of going second with cards like Shaddoll Fusion, there's a lot of cards that you really want to have stick when you play them, like your Mathematicians, like your Cendrilions, and like the Shaddoll Fusions. So you don't want to be going into 4 negate boards. It's really not great. So things like Nibiru are really good for those kind of overbearing decks. Ash Blossom, this could easily be Effect Veiler, as could this Impermanence be Effect Veiler, and this could also be, not Ghost Reaper, a Ghost Ogre, because I really like having the additional lights. We play 3 Construct for a reason, so the additional lights is just really useful for all of that sort of thing. And then the 3 Impermanence, I really wanted my third card, this could have been actual trap cards, this could have been strikes. However, I wanted this to also work as a hand trap going second, so I really like this lineup. I just wish that these were monsters some of the time so that they could interact well with the amount of fusion spells we play, but we get by. But these could just as easily be Effect Veilers or other responsive cards, so something to think about there. Moving through, we are playing a very small Dogmatika package because I feel like Dogmatika is a ridiculously good advantage swing, and I still really like it in today's metagame. It's very simple, so my boomer slow brain can actually play it. So we are playing the 1 copy of Fleur-de-Lis, the Dragmanite or Dogmanite. I'm going to be reading the names off of the card image over here, so it's going to throw me off. 1 Fleur-de-Lis, 2 Ecclesia, and 1 Maximus. I feel like people have gone away from playing Maximus policies a lot as the eye has turned away away from Dogmatika, so I feel like Maximus is somewhat safe to play again, and he has a lot of cute interactions with all the Shaddoll cards that you're playing, so he's valid not just at the start of the game, but also in the mid-game as well, to replenish Shaddoll spells from the graveyard. So I really, really like the advantage that he presents, and I don't feel like he gets punished anywhere near as much as he used to, so I really, really like what he brings to the table there. We then play the smallest Shaddoll lineup I'm comfortable with playing, and honestly, every fiber of my being wants to bump this lineup up in numbers, but you kind of need to make space, and you don't want to overclog on them, so I'm playing 1 Beast, 1 Dragon, 2 Squamata, 1 Ariel, 1 Hedgehog, and 2 Wendy. So here's the thing, the Ariel interacts in this deck really nicely, and we could really just take one of these out and play a Resh Shaddoll Fusion instead, sorry, a Resh Shaddoll Incarnation instead, so it can really take up that space if you wanted it to. Ariel has these really cute interactions because you can rush Shaddoll Schism with this deck really easily by sending it to the graveyard with Construct, making Controller, getting it back, and things of that nature, so you open into a turn with Controller on the board, Schism set that's going to go into a window, banishing 2, and if you manage to make Construct using Squamata, you can send Wendy, set the Ariel, so you go into a turn with a set Ariel, a set Schism, a Controller on the field, and the moment you Schism banishing the Construct, the Ariel you can then use to get to the Construct as well, but that could also be influenced really nicely with an Incarnation, so there's definitely some debate over whether or not you could play this in the list. I just couldn't really find the room, but it's definitely my 41st card. Otherwise, I really want to play a second Beast a lot of the time, because I find myself using it far too early, and it's the only other good target to set off of Wendy, other than Ariel, and it's much more generic. So I need to work out how I'm using Beast, because I do feel the need for a second one, but it is a cloggy card, so swings and roundabouts. And then the normal summons we play are 3 copies of Rilona, the Magistus of Vir, or Cendrillon in the Japanese name. I don't know what's on the English, on the actual print of the card, because I don't have any yet. And then 3 copies of Mathematician. Mathematician, of course, your easy play starter. However, I don't feel like it's super important, so this could potentially change out for something else, because you're seeing your Shaddolls frequently enough, but it's always nice to use the Mathematician, send the Hedgehog, and add the Squamata, so you get that super variable card in your hand. But handily enough, the Mathematician is seen by a lot of people as the kind of must-stop card, so a lot of the time you can just throw out Mathematician, and it'll bait out cards like Ash Blossoms, Veilers, and Impermanences, and then you can come in with the actual plays later on, so it's quite cute in that regard. Cendrillon, just really nice because of the fact that she sets you up very similar to an Alistair, but you don't have to play anywhere near the extra deck support for it, so I really like that. And also by playing the Magistus stuff, you then get to add an Artemis to your list, so it's an easy light off of either the Mathematician or the Cendrillon herself. So moving into the spells, we are playing 3 copies of Nadir Servant. They just get you through to the Ecclesias, the Fleur-de-Lis. You really only ever want to use one of these, but the amount of advantage that it represents when you do find it is absolutely disgusting, so that's why we are playing the 3. Otherwise, they do just become slightly cloggy later on in the game. But you do have certain cards that you can find themselves discarding it, like your App Cologne, things like that. So you don't really worry too much. What's important is that you get to that Dogmatika engine turn 1 every single time, because it gives you such a strong going first play. The fact that you can set things up like your Fleur-de-Lis, Punishment, behind a window. Your opponent very rarely can play through that sort of board. It's very simple, very effective, and that's how I like my decks. Otherwise, we're playing the 2 copies of Invocation. A lot of people like to play 3, not a big fan of 3, you're going to search them anyway. That's as much input as I have on that. Otherwise, 3 copies of Shaddoll Fusion, very simple. It's OP when you're going second, especially if you don't get any of this, especially if you get some of these hand traps to break up your opponent's board, things like the Impermanence, knock out a negate, and then you can go straight through with the Shaddoll Fusion to get massive advantage from your deck. So it's crazy good in that regard. Then 1 Foolish Burial, it's just the easy setup. It's any Shaddoll you want it to be, super good. 2 copies of El Shaddoll Fusion, sometimes, but not all the time. This could potentially go down to 1. You can set it up as and when you need it, but I really just like it for the additional fusion. You could probably play the 3rd Magistus Invocation in its place. However, I feel like this this very much fits in the same place as Invocation, but massively, massively adds to your OTK potential. And then otherwise, for the list, we are playing 1 copy of Dogmatic Punishment and 1 copy of Shaddoll Schism. I don't feel the need to change either of the ratios on these. The amount of cards that can set up Schism are ridiculous, and Schism gives the deck ridiculous longevity, given you've got such a small Shaddoll lineup. So really, really like Schism in this list. Really, really do. And let's put that in permanence back in the list so that things don't look confusing for anyone who skips ahead in the video. Then into the extra deck, and this is the place that could see the largest number of potential changes, and there are definitely ratios that can switch up in here. 3 copies of Construct. We're playing so many light monsters that you're absolutely going to be summoning all 3 of these almost every game, and the fact that you can abuse these for ridiculous advantage, like going this turn 1, sending Schism if you don't have the Dogmatica package, sending Schism, making Controller, adding Schism to your hand so that you have the Winder later on in the game, or the Winder in your opponent's turn, is absolutely nutty. The 1 Titaniclad, because it's just obscenely good to send with Disciples, because you get to go Servant, add Saint, or sorry, add Ecclesia, send Dogmatica, special Ecclesia, get the trap. Dogmatica gets you the Fleur in the end phase. So you get a ridiculous amount of advantage out of that. Just the +1 into 2 negates. Yeah, sure, why not? Why not? Or 2 interrupts is probably the better way I should say it. So why not take that? 1 Saint Iwas. It's just an option to play with the Cendrillon because it is a snatch steal. It isn't out to certain cards. That's kind of why I like it, but otherwise, it can come out. Something I'm not enjoying is the singular copy of App Cologne. I feel like I could really go to 2, and you could probably cut the Unicorn in favour of that. But at the moment, we're playing into Edo Pro. I really wanted to have a very generic card. So if you were going into an event that you know Unicorn isn't going to be as required or as useful, you can definitely cut that for the second App Cologne, because you're going to be using it a lot, especially with card effects like Nadir Servant. If you send it, you find yourself without it a lot of the time, so having that negate is quite nice to have. 2 copies of the all-powerful Winder. Winder is just disgusting, and it's perfect for me because I'm like super smooth brain, super simple brain. I just want a card that I can put on the table and my opponent has to do all the thinking about outing it, and then if they out it, I just go, oh, that's really great. I'll just Schism and make another one, thank you. That's all I need to do. It's so simple. So card is disgusting. Love it. And then 1 copy of Natis. Surprisingly, I didn't miss the second one. I thought I was going to really require a second one of these. Nope, you only ever really need the 1. You're not going to need it for the additional advantage. Oh, and the fact that I played the second Ecclesia in here is really nice because occasionally you do get to just activate a Nadir Servant for the last Ecclesia in the deck and get a free pop. And then you just have an Ecclesia in your hand as a light that you can use for Shaddolls later on. It's just free fuel. And having that second Ecclesia makes this even more live, which is quite nice. It does come up. Then otherwise, for the Link monsters, we are playing the 1 copy of Access Code Talker because it's absolutely nutty with the fact that we are playing a dominantly spellcaster deck, so Selene is really strong. The 1 Nightmare Unicorn is the universal out to all things horrible and nasty because of the fact that it's a spin, not a destruction. The 1 copy of Cross Sheep, because any fusion deck worth its salt still needs to play this because the advantage it provides is so ridiculous. 1 copy of Gravity Controller for all of the combos I've been citing earlier on. And then finally, the 1 copy of Magistus Maiden Artemis, which I love and hate. She doesn't really feel like she does a lot, but she's a light monster. And that's all I need. Because I don't have to play, not Gravity Controller, I don't have to play Secure Gardener anymore. So I get that extra space back, and I don't have to play Almirage, Secure Gardener. Thank the Lords. So really nice to have that in there for that reason alone. But either way, that brings me to about the end of the deck profile. I hope you've all enjoyed. I really have been liking coming back to Shaddoll, and hopefully the duel videos that I'm going to be showing you guys very shortly will reflect that. Let me know what you would like me to mix Shaddoll with if you got this far into the video in the comment section down below. I think it's about time we start really mixing the pot with Shaddoll stuff. I haven't looked at any of the new archetypes, and come on, they've got to have some spicy attributes. So let's see what we can work them in with. Give me some ideas in the comment section down below, and I will pick my favorites and bring them back with a video. But otherwise, like I said, that brings me to about the end of this. I hope you have all enjoyed. If you have, leave the video a like, subscribe if you're new here, share this with your friends if you think they would enjoy it, and comment down below with any feedback you've got. Also, please, again, check out Card Market for sponsoring the video. Big thanks to them. They make this all possible. Hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content. I've been Jamie the Kid 00. You have been a wonderful audience. Peace out. Bye-bye.